Well, today we have as our special guest on Late Morning Latte, Senator Jim Wilson here from Tahlequah. Senator, welcome to the show today.
Thank you.
We appreciate you coming in. I know there's a lot of great anticipation about the legislative session that will start actually in just a couple of weeks. So bring us up to speed about the economy is a big part of, I'm sure the discussions will be going on, some health care issues, other issues. So how about a quick overview of what's coming up in this session as you see it?
The big thing this session, of course, can be money. It is every year, but usually not this drastic. And we have the distinction in Oklahoma of having missed our budget forecast by more than any other state in the union. So we missed our forecast by 18.5%. Wow. Our revenues will come in that much less than what we forecast. So we'll have a hole of somewhere around $800 million this year that we're in that ends June 30th. The projection is we'll have a hole of $1.3 billion next year. And that's on a budget of $7 billion. So that's pretty significant. Now this year what we've done to mitigate the damage is we've had the agencies take a 5% cut the first 6 months, and when we realized things weren't improving, we've increased that to 10%. The first 5% we held education harmless and so on, but now everybody is taking a pretty significant cut. What that will do is cut about $260 million out of the budget, these cuts will. So we'll still have about $600 million we have to deal with.
And one of the interesting things in commentary from time to time, Senator, is that we discussed cuts and percentages and dollar amounts, and as you travel throughout your Senate district, this is really going to have an impact on people and services. I know there's a lot of discussion about senior citizens meals and things that have had some cutbacks and replacement. In your opinion, how is this, as this rolls out to the end of this fiscal year and jumping into next year, how is it going to affect your Senate district?
It's going to be huge in my Senate district, and the reason is we have a lot of government employees in this district, what we call transfer payments. We have the university, we have public schools, those are the best jobs in the district. Of course, we have the Cherokee Nation. They do get some of their money from casinos, but a lot of that's federal money. People are of the attitude that we don't need taxes and they don't like taxes, but they're going to feel the lack of taxes or revenue this year. And as you mentioned, like the Senior Citizen Center, the reason we cut the Senior Citizen Center and $7.5 million is because we had no federal match on that money. And most of the Department of Human Service money, we have federal match. So if we spend $1 of state money, we'll get $2 federal money. And of course that makes sense then, we get more bang for the buck.
Right.
For this $7.5 million, we got no federal match. So the leadership at Department of Human Services decided to cut that. They thought it was the prudent thing to do. I don't necessarily agree with that. I like to feed the senior citizens.
Yes, yes. Well, it's going to, as it trickles down, it's going to affect every community, but like you were mentioning, Common Ed, this is really going to take a big adjustment on their budgets this year and next year, and you might comment on that.
It will. People are of the opinion that we can squeeze waste out of government by cutting their budget. Government has some waste, but no more than any other big corporation or big company. And what's going to happen now is we've quit buying tires for the school buses. We've already cut the things that don't affect people. So all we have left to do is cut people. And so we're going to see state agencies and public education actually encourage older teachers to retire. And we're going to see classroom sizes increase and perhaps longer days and shorter weeks. Some schools have gone to a 4-day week. So they're going to do everything they can to make this happen, but we are going to see people lose their jobs. We're going to see that at the universities, we're going to see that at DHS, and we're going to see it in public education.
Knowing that there have been great roller coasters in the Oklahoma economy, and we were talking before we started our show today about back in the 80s when oil went from $40 a barrel to $2 a barrel. That was a big hit. And in the early 90s, I guess it was, mid-90s, there were some other adjustments. This is unparalleled.
Yes, it is.
And from your experience as a businessman and also as a leader in our Senate and previous member of the House. As a state, how do we move this forward, knowing it's going to get better at some point? We're going to be confident of that. How do we move forward in the next 2 years to position ourselves to strengthen our position for the future?
I am like you. I'd like to think it gets better, but there's no guarantee that it will.
Correct.
One of the things that's happened is we are squeezing disposable income out of people. They no longer have the money they had 10 years ago to buy at my business or somebody else's business. And since we're a predominantly small business in this area, what we've done is we've seen healthcare costs go up. We've only seen wages go up in real terms 13% in 10 years. But inflation has been higher than that. So we're seeing people have $400 and $500 per person per year in healthcare cost increases, which is significant.
Very significant.
So if we don't get disposable income in the pockets of people, they can't consume, and if they can't consume, we can't get sales tax. We can't make anybody's life better. We can't support public education. We can't support the universities. So it's a vicious cycle. Now, as far as revenues go for the state of Oklahoma, we get a lot of ours from natural gas. We get some of that revenue there, but the important part of natural gas when the price gets up is people start drilling again.
Right.
And when they drill, they create jobs, and those jobs are good paying jobs, and those people spend their money. So that's probably more valuable than the drilling itself and the sale of natural gas. Right now, natural gas is about $6, and at $6, $6.50, $7, somewhere in there, we anticipate they'll start drilling again. So we can hope that that's the case, and that will broaden our tax base.
And I don't recall the percentage, but the natural gas tax revenues, actually it missed its target by like 40% or so, 30% or something. It was huge.
It was huge. Normally we get about $800 million.
Right.
And I don't know what it dropped, but I think it was 70% this time.
Right, right. So it was a significant contributor to that hole that is going to have to be filled.
Right, and the caveat to that is oil income for the state, or gross production tax off oil, is not as significant as natural gas. 80% of our gross production tax comes from natural gas. So if oil goes up or down, it doesn't help us or hurt us. We don't go out and drill oil wells in Oklahoma. We're drilling gas wells.
Gas wells.
So that's where the importance is.
Well, a lot of great topics, and we're going to have some more in just a few minutes, so stay with us, and we'll be right back with Senator Jim Wilson.